Look, no matter what you thought of that Nintendo Direct, A plus or F minus, I think there's one thing we can all agree on, which is that Nintendo's pricing is out of control. Nintendo's pricing after the Direct, when they uploaded the stuff onto their site and pre-orders started beginning, is freaking nutso. And no matter if there were a ton of good games or no good games for you at all, you want to buy 10 of them or you want to buy 0 of them, Nintendo Switch 2 is freaking expensive, and I want to go through one by one, see what the most offensive is, and see how you feel if any of them are okay, and how this is going to affect things going forward. Let me know in the comments down below if you agree that Nintendo's pricing is just off the chain. All right, Mario Kart World started off at $80. I think they botched that and handled that poorly because they didn't really justify it. They wanted to charge $80, they should have just owned it. It's $80. It's the only $80 game. They haven't made another one $80. Maybe we thought they were getting better because third parties are getting better. Let me start off with how third parties have been doing really good, because Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate on Switch 2 is $40. Now that feels really nice because that game is old. That game will be nearly 6 years old when it releases, and $40 feels like a fine amount for a port of a game that comes with all the content and by all accounts is running really well and looks really nice, and you can take it with you on your Switch 2. I got no problem paying $70 for DK Bonanza because it's a brand new game. And some people have taken $20 DLC and said DK Bonanza is now $90. No, you could do that with tons of games where if you add in their DLC, you add in their freaking Madden Ultimate Team packs, you can make games look like they were $100, $200, $300. That's just not the case. DLC does need to be kept separately. But let's look at something like a $70 Mario Galaxy plus Mario Galaxy 2. How do you feel about this? $70, which is the natural price of a Switch 2 game, for Mario Galaxy and Mario Galaxy 2, but these two games are not really remakes or even full-on remasters. They are Mario Galaxy 1 and Galaxy 2 that do have 4K on Switch 2, so they're up-resed. They are polished a bit. They add storybook pages, okay? I don't want to say that these games are remasters because to me a remaster means it's fully been redone and that it has cool new content. These just have enhanced resolution, improved UI, extra storybook chapters, an assist mode, and supposedly more. But that quote-unquote more could be as simple as a new music track or a new title screen. Now you might think, okay, $70 is a-okay, but when you look at them separately, it's $40 each. Nintendo was nice enough to offer these separately on the eShop, but they're each $40. You're paying $40 for a Wii game on your Switch 2. Now, this is a system that supposedly has a lot of NSO titles that are just part and parcel with their online subscription for $20 a year. Obviously, we don't have up to Wii yet, but we do have GameCube. Nintendo didn't want to give us new GameCube games, and we'll touch on what they did give us in a second. But Mario Galaxy 1 for $40 feels crazy when Mario 3D All-Stars was $60 just a few years ago. The 35th anniversary had Mario Galaxy being $60 as part of a package with 2 other games, thereby making it $20. Or if you want to say it was more expensive than 64 or Sunshine, then maybe $30, but this is definitely a price increase for Mario Galaxy. Now, I know that there is the logic of inflation, there is the logic that things go up in price, and that does make logical sense, okay? That does make business sense. But there's also a comparative sense that has to be considered. I'm not against game companies raising their price for games, but then you price your games fairly given that new model. Like I said, DK Bonanza at $70, I'm okay with. It's a brand new game. It takes advantage of the Switch 2. It only runs on the Switch 2. It's in line with 2025 new games. Mario Galaxy and Galaxy 2 aren't new games, and they're barely getting new treatment. The new content is a freaking storybook page from Rosalina's book. That's barely new content. Someone typed in a Word doc and then put it in the game code. That, to me, does not in any way justify these price points. And when we look and say how much was Metroid Prime Remastered, a truly remastered game that got a full new redone look, not just a little touch-up, not just a coat of paint, but really they fully did remaster that game. That game was $40. So now Galaxy is $40, and maybe there's some strange Nintendo logic here, like Galaxy is a Wii game, and Wii is more advanced and not even available on NSO, but Metroid Prime Remastered is a GameCube game, so there's an inherent, separation of value there. I don't really buy it. I don't really like that these are $70 a package. I think this should be a $50 package. or if they want to be ballsy, a $60 package, but then I think they should be $30 each. The fact that it's $40 if I want to buy each one of these seems crazy given how cheap other games are. Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate is a remake, and it is the full game, and it is far more newly released, and that's $40. Mario Galaxy 1 is also $40. I think it makes sense. Now, what would have made sense is if Nintendo gave us a bunch of free GameCube titles to add onto our Switch online service, but instead they opted to add a system that I don't think anybody except maybe one guy asked for, the Virtual Boy. Now, in theory, adding the Virtual Boy is pretty clever and cool and mostly just quirky, but it's $100 for the Virtual Boy. It is $100 to add this stereoscopic 3D Virtual Boy dedicated accessory for Switch 2 and Switch 1 on February 17th. $100. And guess what? They're not even giving you all the games up front. The games will be released over time, and we know how Nintendo does that, slowly like a drip feed. So you're paying $100 to invest in, eventually, one day, being able to play like 14 games. That feels like a terrible proposition. But oh wait, Nintendo has a cardboard version for you, which probably should cost $10 or be free with my Nintendo points. But no, Virtual Boy cardboard model is $25. $25 for a reused Home Depot moving box with a red coat of paint. What the freaking heck? Now, it is more than that because it does have these glasses, so I get it, okay? You're using your Switch, but it does have like this glasses thing. It's still very basic, and I don't know, maybe $25 is a fair price for this, but it still feels silly that I'm paying $25 plus shipping for cardboard, and my only way of accessing this content that is supposed to be, right, a boon for the Nintendo Switch Online Expansion Pack subscribers, a new thing just for them, I can only use it if I give Nintendo more money. I have to give them at minimum 25 plus shipping and at maximum 100 plus shipping just to access this new feature that's supposed to be a part of my Switch Online subscription. Now, I'd be fine with this if they also brought a new wave of GBA and GCN games, but they brought neither. They didn't make even a mention or a peep about potential future games coming out for these systems. N64 games, GameCube games, they didn't bring up anything about any other titles coming for free. They just said, here's a for-pay add-on to your already paid add-on, which to me doesn't feel very good. Like I said, I know the gaming hobby is expensive. I don't expect Nintendo to give us things below rate. I think $70 for DK Bonanza is totally fair. I wish Mario Kart World was $70. They want to charge $80. I wish they would have owned it, but okay. The problem is I don't think that it makes sense across the board, especially when you're going to try to charge me $50 for a piece of plastic. The new Kirby Warp Star and Bandana Waddle Dee Wing Star Amiibo are $50 each for pre-ordered. $50 each. Now, Amiibo, they're optional. Amiibo, you don't have to buy. Amiibo really doesn't affect your gameplay experience, but we are really seeing an increase in just about all of Nintendo's stuff. Thank goodness they didn't debut new Joy-Con, otherwise who knows what price those would have reached. You've got Metroid Prime 4 Amiibo for $29.99. You've got Mario Galaxy and Mario Galaxy 2 Amiibo for $39.99. And then you've got these Kirby Air Riders Amiibo for $50, I assume because they come with a vehicle. So in a way it's 2 Amiibo, but it's really 1 Amiibo. And yes, you can switch the riders, but that means you're paying $100. If I wanted to get my non-existent child a Kirby and Waddle Dee Amiibo for their amazing, wonderful Kirby Air Riders Christmas gift, I'm spending $100. I could buy Mario Galaxy 2, and a couple of Switch games for that same price, or I can get 2 plastic figures. Now, if I was really smart, I'd go on Amazon and I'd find a non-Amiibo Kirby for probably like $8. And that feels a lot better. I don't know. I think Amiibo are cool from the standpoint of having a collection of Nintendo figures, but as the years have passed, I have really fallen out of the mystique of Amiibo because they don't really do a ton. They usually give you like an extra heart, or they give you like a costume. They give you things that are pretty inconsequential. They're not really like, oh, a brand new character in Smash Bros. They don't really unlock huge DLC. It's not a new rider in Kirby Air Riders, right? It's not a new playable character in Mario Galaxy. It's an expensive Nintendo figure that unlocks something small and can tap into your system, which is a novel feature, but we've had that since Skylanders and before, and so I don't really think it's that cool in 2025, and therefore $100 for 2 Kirby Air Riders Amiibos seems like an absolute highway robbery. I just think that Nintendo can charge $70 for their Switch 2 games, of which, they really didn't talk about too many dedicated Switch 2 games. Mario Tennis Fever looks pretty sweet. That is a dedicated Switch 2 game, and it does look like it has a ton of extra content, including that adventure mode that seems to harken back to the Camelot GBA days, much more than the Mario Tennis Aces days. Doesn't really, totally take advantage of like the Switch 2 power in a way of being a huge game, but okay, it's a brand new exclusive title for $70. I will say, you know what? Gaming's expensive. This one's worth it. I just take issue when they can't make adjustable pricing across the board. They can't find a way to price these things appropriately. They wanted to charge us $20 for these Switch 2 editions, extra add-ons. They wanted to charge us more money for upgrades. They didn't want to give us hardly any free upgrades, and it seems like there aren't more free upgrades because this Direct did not announce a new slate of free Switch 2 enhancements. Like, they were like, oh, hey, you can now play Super Smash Bros. With enhancements for free. That's cool. That's fan servicey. That's nice. That is giving you a very good reason to upgrade to Switch 2 and carry your library along with it. But specifically for the Mario anniversary, I know that they're capitalizing on the Mario name. I feel like they're saying, hey, we don't have a new 3D Mario ready for you, so let's give you old Mario with a significant upcharge. Let's sell you Mario Wonder for $80 because we're adding Bella Bell Park, and let's sell you Mario Galaxy 1 for $40 and Mario Galaxy 2 for $40 because, we don't really want to reprint that 3D All-Stars cart that was better value, and we don't want to give you a new Mario game that would be one brand big new game, so why not 2 really old games for $70? But we don't really have the time or the desire or want to invest in actually remastering them. We're going to uptick the resolution, and we're going to add a storybook page. To me, that's really silly. To me, don't add anything. I'd rather you say that these are the games in their original form, they're untouched masterpieces from the Nintendo Wii era, than try to tell me you added a storybook page for Rosalina's book. Nobody cares. What a waste. They really could have made these better. Am I glad to be getting Mario Galaxy 2 on Switch 2? Abso-freaking-lutely. It's been a missing piece of Nintendo's nostalgic catalog since the 3D All-Stars collection debuted 5 years ago, and I'm glad we're getting it, but wouldn't it felt so nice if they were like, hey, it's $30 for Galaxy 2? No, they're not doing that. It's $40 for each one, $70 for the double pack, which makes it feel like you need to buy the double pack. But if you have 3D All-Stars, the double pack is pointless. But if you want the physical version, it's got to be the double pack. Or if you're like me and you just want to add Galaxy 2, you're paying $40 for Galaxy 2. And if I wanted the Amiibo, it's an $80 game again, just like Mario Kart World. Things are going to continue to get more and more expensive, and I think this is going to apply across the board, whether it's Nintendo, Microsoft, or Sony. I think PC is going to be the place, and Steam Deck, where you find significant savings, but I do think that Nintendo could have handled this much better while still keeping their $70 standard price point and giving a little bit of variance for some of their other games. This was the danger of Nintendo charging full value for Wii U ports onto Switch 1 in that era. Now they're doing a very similar thing where if it's a Nintendo IP, you're going to be paying the new full price, which is $70. They're going to find a way to get you to $70, or in the case of Virtual Boy, $100. $100 to have access to, it looks like they're promising just a couple games at launch. It looks to me like they're promising Galactic Pinball, Tellero Boxer, and maybe Mario Tennis for $100. It's like the worst mini console ever. Those mini consoles for NES and SNES had plenty more games for far less money. Or maybe they were $100, I don't know. But regardless, it was tons of games, and it was its own functioning system. It wasn't just an accessory. I feel like this just adds a little bit more heat to the fire of like, what is Nintendo selling us on for Switch 2? Where is the big game to look forward to? And while there's plenty to play, and look, I do feel like Mario Tennis Fever is going to be great. I think that Yoshi game has a chance to be very fun, even if it's more in a goofy way. I do think that Fire Emblem could be the best Fire Emblem coming out in 2026, and I am so pumped for Metroid Prime 4. Going back and watching that trailer, I think that game does look phenomenal. We're going to have plenty to play. Nintendo is not going to give us any sort of real gap in terms of, hey, you have to wait to play something. There is going to be a ton to play, and they're supplementing September with stuff like, hey, Hades 2 is a console exclusive right now, timed exclusive on Switch 2 in just 2 weeks, and then Galaxy 1 and Galaxy 2 for $70 is out October 2nd. So there's a lot to play. There's a lot of good there. There's just a few ways that they go about communicating it and actualizing it in terms of price point, how they market it, and how they announce and release it that makes me feel like they care more about making the most money possible and milking the audience more than they do delivering everything that they possibly can to build the best system, the best library, and give people so many genuine reasons to feel great about the Switch 2. I still think the Switch 2 is a great system. I think it will go on to be a stronger system than Switch 1, if you can believe that. I just feel like right now they're in this mucky spot where they're making choices that clearly establish Nintendo is back in top dog Nintendo mode, where they can charge $100 for a Virtual Boy attachment rather than dropping new GameCube games, and where they can charge $40 for Mario Galaxy when they previously gave you a 3-game collection for $60. Let me know if you agree with me. How do you feel about this? Is Nintendo getting too big for their britches now that their systems are insanely successful? Do you miss the sad boy down on their luck Wii U Nintendo era where they had to claw their way with Switch 1 and hit it over and over again with value, titles, and tentpole releases? Maybe they can do that in 2026. There's still much more to come. Nintendo clearly is opting to show games and then release them rather than tease things farther out. Maybe they will have a big NSO update soon, but all I can go on is what I saw today. And what I saw today was some fun games with a big price tag and some fun games that clearly make me think that they're saving the big stuff to slowly draw this out and spread things around. So gaming in general is going up in price. That makes sense. But the Virtual Boy didn't have to be a thing. Could have just got GameCube games. Gaming is going up in price, but they could have offered downloadable editions of their Wii titles for far less. You can argue about things like accessories and hardware and game key cards being necessary evils because of inflation, tariffs, things of that sort. But these ones specifically, I don't know. I don't buy a $50 Amiibo, and I don't buy an $80 Mario Galaxy bundle. Which one is the worst in your opinion? Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. And until next time, SwitchForce out.